Lust is one of the biggest and most common struggles that people battle with every day. No matter who you are, this is something that's extremely difficult and can even feel impossible at times to overcome. So what's up YouTube, it's Just Third back with another video, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to overcome lust. So before I can even get into the ways of how we can overcome lust, first let's figure out what lust actually is. So lust is defined as a powerful and often uncontrollable desire. And the thing is that you can lust after multiple things. You can lust after money, after fame, whatever the case may be. But for the premise of this video, I'm going to focus on lusting after people. And this is the type of lust that, most of us struggle with. So I know that it says lust is an often uncontrollable desire. But what I'm going to show you guys in this video is that you can control lust and you can overcome it through the Lord. So the first way to overcome lust is to rebuke lustful thoughts. I think what we have to all realize is that we can take control of our mind. We can take control of our thoughts. So a good example of this is, let's say, I'm asking you guys to picture a yellow school bus. Now, as I just said, picture a yellow school bus. Whatever you guys were thinking about, you automatically forgot about, and you automatically pictured a yellow school bus. So we can control what we set our minds on, and that's why it's really important to set your mind on the things of God. Set your mind on things that glorify God and not lustful thoughts. And the thing about this is that your mind controls your actions. What you think about is what you're going to do. If I move my arm up like this, I first had to have that thought to move my arm up like this. So it's really important to set your mind on the things of God. Romans 8:5 says, those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. So all this means is that your actions are basically dictated of what your thoughts are. Think about a person who, is trying to get better at their sport. If they're constantly telling themselves, oh man, I suck, I'm not making it pro, I'm saying I can't do this, I can't do that, then oftentimes their actions are going to reflect that, because they have no belief in themselves and they're not going to work toward getting better at their sport because they already feel like they're not good, versus someone who's always telling themselves, okay, I can do this, or that's all right, I'll get it next time. They have that mindset to where it gives them the confidence, and it also gives them the work ethic to be able to work toward that. So yeah, man, set your mind on things above. Even when lustful thoughts do come into your mind, always, disregard that and think of things that glorify God. The other thing about this is that attraction, being attracted to someone is normal. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, you can't find this woman attractive. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to change your mindset. Change when you look at them, change how you think. So trust me, I know she look good, bro. I know what you think. I know you're watching this video. I know she look good, bro, but don't let your mind wander. Don't let your thoughts win. And like I was kind of talking about before, lustful thoughts lead to lustful actions. So if you want to steer away from being lustful, change how you think. That's why the word of God says in Romans 12:2, be not conformed with this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that should show you how powerful your mind is. Just changing your mindset and the way you think changes you as a whole. So yeah, man, as soon as you get those lustful thoughts, just replace it with a thought that glorifies God, or just replace it with something that doesn't have anything to do with that. Don't let your mind be fixated on lustful thoughts. The second way we can overcome lust is by eliminating the root. Matthew 5, it says, if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. And it says, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. So all that means is to recognize the things that are causing you to fall into lust and to just remove these things. Don't keep those things that are causing you to fall into lust. Don't keep those things around you and then be surprised when oh man, I can't stop doing this, I can't stop doing this. Well, that's because you're not letting go of the thing that's causing you to fall in the first place. So there's a number of different things that might cause you to fall into lust. It could be music, it could be movies or shows you watch, it could be social media, it could even be through your relationships. So that's why you have to be mindful of what you're surrounding yourself around, because you can't steer yourself away from lust if you still have easy access to it. And like I said, man, attraction is normal, but the Lord didn't intend us to lust after each other. He intended us to love each other. And love, true love, the love that comes from the Lord, that goes beyond just physical desire and physical pleasure. So whether this is apps, whether this is websites, whether this is people, whatever it is that's causing you to fall into lust, recognize these things and remove these things. And then the third way to truly overcome lust is run to God. Run to God, man. I can't stress this enough. Running to God is by default going to keep you away from lust, because the Lord can't associate with lust. The Lord can't associate with something that isn't like him. That's why the Lord is so perfect by nature, is because the Lord only operates out of love, out of peace, out of humility, out of all these things. So the Lord won't be able to abide in something that isn't like him. You can see a perfect example of this in Galatians 5:16, when it says, walk in the Spirit and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And even talks about in verse 17, the flesh lusts against the Spirit and the Spirit against the flesh. So whatever one you abide in, whatever one you give your energy to, whatever one you're following, is going to lead you away from the other one. That's why when we're so caught up in our lustful desires, so caught up in our lustful actions, we don't feel as close to the Lord, and we feel like we can't go to the Lord because they operate contrary to each other, if that makes sense. So by us staying close to the Lord, by default, you're gonna walk away from these things, because you're gonna realize that when you're with the Lord, lust becomes uncomfortable. And the devil, he wants us to be comfortable in that lust. He wants us to feel like, oh, you just can't live without lust. That's just going to come with life. But no, that's why it's so important. The more you spend time in the Word, the more you spend time talking to God and hearing from God, the more you're not going to want to lust. And you're not even going to think about it. A lot of times when people try to overcome lust themselves instead of through God, they feel like, oh, if I just try really hard, if I just, try not to look at this and try not to go there, I'll be fine. But no, you're trying to fight a spiritual battle with fleshly strength, and it's not going to end well for you. You're not going to have the strength to be able to overcome that. You can only overcome things like this through the Lord. So don't think about, man, I just can't do this. I just can't do this. Don't think about not lusting. Just think about, okay, how can I draw closer and closer to God? And that'll by default keep you away from lust, like I said. And you will make mistakes. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not perfect at all. And I'm not saying you will be perfect by, doing all three of these things. But the more you implement these things, the more you're going to look back and realize, like, man, like lust doesn't even control me anymore. And when I tell y'all, man, it's the most freeing feeling. It's the most pure feeling. You're going to feel so much more focused, so much more energetic, so much more mature, just in all aspects of life. So just remember, it's not okay to live in sin. The devil wants you to think that it's okay to live in sin. He wants you to think that it's normal. He wants you to think that, lusting is something that you can't overcome. But I want to let you guys know today that you can overcome lust, through Jesus, by rebuking lustful thoughts, eliminating the root of what's causing you to fall into lust, and then just running to God, man. That's those three ways. I'm telling y'all, man, it makes a huge difference, made a big difference in my life, and I know it'll make a big difference in your life. So yeah, man, always remember that God is bigger than any one of your problems. You can overcome lust just like you can overcome anything else. I'm not saying that you're going to be perfect, but I encourage you not to settle for thinking that it's okay to live in sin or thinking that you can't overcome lust. So yeah, man, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I thank you guys for all the support in my how to keep God first video. I really thank God, because I wasn't expecting that much engagement. I wasn't expecting that much testimony of people saying how it really helped them, and this is something that they've been working on. At the end of the day, I'm just sharing you guys the things that the Lord is sharing with me, and the Lord is just using me as a vessel and as a disciple, really. So yeah, man, a bunch more videos like this coming out soon. The Lord is really using me. I have a bunch of ideas to make, so you guys just stay tuned. Share this video if you guys enjoyed, and like always, I love you all, and always remember that Jesus loves you more. And I'll see you guys in the next video.